There's this girl that lives in my uni halls. We're not roommates, but we are flatmates. We are both 19 years old. Let's name her Kaya. I met her in September when we started university and moved into halls. We're not best friends, but we are friendly. We don't really spend much time together. Over time, my friends noticed that Kaya tried to copy me in everything. It started slowly, accessories and some clothes. Nothing major. I didn't even notice until people started pointing it out to me. I have a rather distinct style and she started copying it. I don't know the style and she's free to wear what she likes, but it's the exact same copies of my outfits, which is very odd. But then, it started going further. I dyed my hair, she dyed her hair. I bought something for my room, she bought the same thing. I started chatting with a guy. She became obsessed with that guy to a point that whenever I had a male friend or guy I was interested in over, she would go out of her way to try and get their attention, coming down to the kitchen in nothing but a towel. She never used to do it, etc. And she would do anything to attract attention. Now, don't get me wrong, I couldn't care less if the guy was looking, and even if it was my boyfriend looking. I'd have a beef with him, not her, but the blatant attention-seeking behavior was just odd. I joined societies and sports, and after she found out, she joined the same ones I did. Basically, everything I do, she copies eventually. It's just really creepy, but I haven't said anything. I wouldn't even know what to say. Over the Easter break, my friend and I were at my family house, a bit drunk, and decided to test out whether Kaya really copies everything I do. I made a post on social media about shaving my head. My friend does hairdressing and she helped me out faking shaved head, and I posted a photo with shaved head. I deleted the photo few days later and forgot about this whole thing. After Easter break was over, we had uni exams and I was focusing on that. Imagine my shock when I came back and Kaya had shaved head. And she was pissed when she saw me. She started shouting how I lied to her and why would I do that. She went on and on and on, really angry. Admittedly, I ignored her and hid in my room. She sent me a text telling me that she expects me to pay for her wig as it's my fault she shaved her head. I replied that absolutely not, that it was not my fault, and she decided on her own to do that. She kept attacking me over it every time I saw her. It's been a few days since I came back from Easter break. My exams start tomorrow, and yesterday I received an email from my university, asking me for a meeting over the issue. She reported me to uni over something she's done. I am genuinely confused. Was I really in the wrong? I am a 45 years old woman. My husband and I have a 15-aunt daughter Kate and a 9-year-old son Sam. My husband has a brother and a 40-year-old sister, Eva. Eva and her husband James have a daughter, Allegra. She is also 15 years old. Kate and Allegra have always been compared in the family. From the time they were born, it seemed to be a competition of who would walk first, talk first, do more, achieve more. And Allegra was always first. I won't go too much into detail about Allegra because that's not really the point, but I will say she's a beautiful, intelligent, truly one-of-a-kind girl, and her parents have done a great job raising her. My in-laws fell in love with her and think she hung the moon. This bothered me and made me sad for Kate, but I let it go for the most part. There's no doubt in my mind that they love all the kids equally, but out of the two girls you can tell who they admire more. Every summer, the whole family visits a holiday home that Eva shares with my in-laws. Over the summer, Kate met a boy, Luke, who was also holidaying in the area. They started dating. This was Kate's first experience with boys. Allegra had friends who were nearby, so for our first few weeks we didn't see her much. About 3/4 of the way through the holiday, Kate invited the boy she'd been seeing to dinner. Allegra was told to come, and afterwards she would be going to a party. At the dinner, it was clear that Luke was very attracted to Allegra. After dinner, Luke decided he would go to the party Allegra was going to as he had also been invited. They both asked Kate to go, but she wasn't allowed and was very upset. My husband and I felt it was not a safe or appropriate environment at her age. Eva informed us, because she knows we do not allow Kate into these environments, that it was an adult party, where there would be drinking and possibly other things going on. Allegra has grown up in a place where these kind of things are much more normal. And Eva and her husband made the choice to let Allegra live those experiences. From what I know and have seen, she handles it exceptionally and it has not caused any issues. However, it is not the way we have chosen to parent Kate, and so we didn't allow her to go. The next morning, Allegra came downstairs and asked to talk to me and Eva. She said at the party Luke was flirting with her and showed her some messages he'd sent her. We decided we would all talk to Kate. Kate spent the next 2 days miserable. When she finally came out of her room, Kate was caustic and everyone was getting a bit fed up with her attitude. Eventually, my father-in-law jokingly said, "Your mistake was introducing him to Allegra. How did you think that was going to go for you?" My mother-in-law told him off but added that Luke handled it terribly, but the outcome was sort of inevitable. Kate left the table in tears. We managed to get through the rest of the holiday, but when my husband brought up plans for Christmas, Kate refused to go. She said she couldn't bear being ridiculed by her own family and constantly compared to Allegra. After seeing how much this was affecting her, I spoke to my husband and said we shouldn't go. He argued that it would be wrong to let Kate take away time with family just because of a boy. I reminded him that this has been happening since they were born, but he said that we can't shield Kate from every special person in the world. He said he would talk to his parents about their comments, but that we should not set a precedent of letting Kate run away from reality. I grow indoor plants and keep them around the house, whether by the kitchen window or out on the front porch. I have a variety of plants like lily, aloe vera, also flowers, and they all require care and attention. It's a hobby of mine, and because I don't own enough space, I just stick to indoor planting. I have a 16-year-old stepson, Sean, who loves to pull all kinds of pranks and has been trying some weird pranks on me lately. I don't mind it as long as he's happy, and also because nothing is too serious, just hiding my farming tools / replacing them with damaged ones and so on. He just keeps messing around like any other kid. Days ago he posted a FB video of him spraying cold water on me when I was sleeping. It was embarrassing since he shared it with family. I got mad at him and had him delete it despite him begging me to let him keep it. He kept sulking afterwards and had his mom try to convince me to let him repost the video, but I thought that was crazy request. Sean suddenly became friendly and asked if he could water my plants. I was glad he asked and gave him the watering can and told him to start with the plants in the kitchen. He was gone for a few minutes, then he got back and started watering all the plants in the house. Later in the evening I was cleaning my tools and there was a weird smell coming from the watering can. It smelled like bleach. I freaked out and checked my plants and the same smell was coming from them. I confronted Sean and asked what he watered the plants with. He acted dumb and said nothing, but I found a bottle of bleach in his room, which made me lose my temper. He admitted watering my plants with bleach to get back at me for making him remove the video. I was mortified. I immediately canceled the weekend trip to the national park that he was looking forward to. He started crying, saying it was too much and he made a mistake in moment of clouded judgment. I refused to discuss it. My wife feels bad. Sean hasn't been eating well since I canceled the trip, but he damaged my plants and caused me hurt and pain. She thinks an apology was enough. He is a kid and made a mistake. She wanted me to let it go, but I said canceling the trip is his official punishment. I got called unreasonable and stubborn for this, and that I don't respect her as a parent too. Sean has this mentally that if he admits doing something wrong then he'll be forgiven. This isn't how it should be, but his mother thinks admitting to it and apologizing should be the end of it. My mother is disabled due to a neurological disease. She was diagnosed in her late 30s, and I remember that she was sick and needed help. I used to really look up to her as a super mom who could overcome any obstacle. That was until my father died. My father died over 10 years ago when I was still in high school. At that time my brother and I lived with my parents. I got a job when I was in high school after he left, cleaning the house, mowing the grass, buying food with money from work, paying bills when I could, the minimum wage is low, and cooking dinner for my mom and myself almost every night. My brother was rarely at home, except to sleep or because he needed money. Over the years, my brother has been in and out of prison dozens and dozens of times for everything from drunk driving to drug possession to stealing from our mother to assault. He is currently incarcerated. No one mentions him or expects anything of him, except my mother who, in violation of a court order for her own protection that she herself asked for, sends him money and speaks to him weekly as well as sends letters. Back to my father's death, a 7-month bout with illness. Almost 2 years after my father's death, I graduated from high school and went to college out of state. I sent money to my mom when I was in college, and I distinctly remember, for example, using my scholarship I got in December to buy Christmas presents for my mom and brother, because I knew they wouldn't have anything if I won't buy. No one reciprocated, but I did not expect this. To be honest, I didn't care either until it became the norm over the next decade. That very Christmas, I was barely 18 years old, and I was collecting pennies to buy a cheap refrigerator after I returned home for the winter holidays with gifts, only to realize that there was no food in the house. My brother, in a drug-fueled rage, tore down the Christmas tree I had bought and decorated and threatened to kill himself if I didn't give him the money because no one loved him, and that would prove that I cared. It is important to note that even during this time, my mother continued to let my brother, who became a criminal, back to the house. I'll try to skip my college and graduate years, but suffice it to say that I met my current husband and spent less and less time at home. When I was at home or when my husband and I were visiting, it was like this: clean my mom's house, buy mom food, cook for mom, take care of my mom. I was and remain very firm with my mother that I would not let my brother in my life as he threatened to kill me over the prescription cough syrup, threw me down the stairs and broke down the door to get to me, and some of the money I had at the time. I have no doubt that he will try to harm my child, my husband or me in order to get what he wants. He told me he would find me and he would teach me a lesson for his perception that I wronged him for not giving him money. And I have zero contact with him. I have blocked all numbers that have anything to do with him, including friends he calls from outside the prison. P.S. My mother let him take my number from her phone. I told my mom for years that I didn't want to have my brother in my life until he stopped using drugs for at least 1 year. To date, he is unable to do so. He stole tens of thousands of dollars from her. She always says she won't let him back into her house, but she eventually forgives him and the cycle repeats. The next year, when he was released again, she told me in no uncertain terms that he would not live with her, but admits that she keeps in touch, sends him money, and thinks it is the devil in him that makes him addicted. He will return. I offered to help my mom move closer to me since I live in many states. My husband and I even asked the realtor to come out and start the process of registering our house so we could find a house with space for my mom. My only stipulation was that she not drag my brother into my son's life. She categorically refused. She also refused to go to nursing homes, despite the fact that I went to her of my own free will and received excellent recommendations from her doctors. Now that she had surgery this week, my family is out of the slums. To be honest, I'm outraged by this. I had people who couldn't even send me a mutual Christmas card and told me that I was neglecting my mother, refusing to take time off from work and go to her place to take care of her. They don't care that I don't have days off and that I will most likely lose my job. One even stated that I wouldn't put groceries on my desk. I wouldn't work for such an employer. It's easy to say those words, but say it to my hungry baby. They said, "Who do you think took care of you as a baby?" And frankly, it hurts me. Sometimes you have to learn how to deal with life. You can't just ignore it, because getting on with life means losing your job. Walking away from my toddler in his growing up years and taking care of my mother, I guess? You can probably tell at this point that I'm fed up. I am in a stalemate when literally the only surviving family members tell me to quit my job, my family, my young child to take care of my mom and help her. They also refuse to give a timeline, saying it will be as long as she needs it. I am expected to take care of her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no questions asked. I also feel strongly that they resent my mother for asking them to do me a service. Even though I have explained many times that I offered her to stay with us and have the operation here, at no cost to her, mind you. And she refused. In response, they tell me that she has the right to be close to her friends. I also tried to explain that by bowing to her at every call. They give her an opportunity, but they don't want to hear it. They don't seem to hear me when I try to explain that. For example, helping her get out of the physical therapy room a week and a half before her doctor's recommendation gives her an opportunity, and ultimately hurts her independence. She is used to everyone doing everything for her. For example, During the last visit, she was very upset that I did not take her to Walmart, because she had to go there almost before the baby went to bed. It was not emergency. She wanted to look around. My mother, in all this confusion, has taken the position that although she doesn't want me to lose my job, a good daughter should take care of her mother. Frankly, I am very hostile to this statement, because my mother did not call me on my birthday before my father died. I tried to build some kind of relationship with my son. I always try to chat with them or talk on the phone. And in the last 12 years I can count on the fingers of one hand how many times she called me just to tell me about me, or my son, or ask how we are doing. If she does call, there is always an ulterior motive, money for my brother or for her because she gave my brother everything. I'm on the edge. I can't work full-time, take care of my family, and expect to hear several times a week how bad a person I am for refusing to give up everything I've worked so hard to take care of mine. Mother. No matter what, I love my mom. My husband and his family saw it unfold and several people remarked, "Why are you even trying?" Meaning trying to schedule calls so she can talk / see my son. I invited her to my house earlier this month, scheduled plane tickets, airport assistance, etc. Just to watch her play on her phone or spend time playing with the dog instead of reading a book to my little one who just wanted her attention. Today, as if the last straw was needed, I called to check on her and she stated that she was going home against the doctor's orders because her dog needed her, because the dog was sick. First, he has a very minor skin condition that is almost 100% cured thanks to her friend giving him a prescribed ointment. Secondly, my little one got sick this week, meaning he didn't go to kindergarten for 3 days. And even after I told her about it, she never called to find out how he was. Just like she never called to check on him when he came down with the flu last year, or when he had a mysterious week and a half illness earlier this year that resulted in 4 doctor visits and a temperature of 104 degrees. I can't take it anymore. I am literally writing this as a last resort. My husband tells me not to talk to anyone. That's the whole family I have left except for one paternal aunt, because he sees me cry when hurtful comments and guilt come into play. He sees me trying to hide it from my child. But then I feel like I'm giving them what they want, right? Look at little Miss Potato, such a bad person and so inept at dealing with life. She just chose to ignore us all. But I can't defend myself all day in front of extended family members whom I've seen for over 10 years. And in some cases over 2 decades. Nothing I say will ever be good enough. I was told in no uncertain terms that I was a terrible person because I refused to leave my husband and young child and move across the county to take care of my mother. Postscript, I am not subject to the FMLA. My employer is not large enough and there is no comparable law in my state. I have 1 day of vacation left due to my son getting sick earlier this year. My husband gets almost 3 times as many days off, so took many more days to take care of him. In general, I do not want to lose my job or look for another one. It's a good job, it's just limited to a small company. She refused to move in with me. Either my husband and I are building a mother-in-law, or we are moving to a bigger house. Any aid agency or nursing home. She hesitates about allowing housework, but contradicts herself on the matter, telling me that Susie can help her if she needs anything, or that she has friends she can call, or, more often than not, she does well and can take care of herself. She wants help, but only when she wants it and only on her own terms. She told me that she would not end her relationship with my brother. I managed to get her to agree to a consultation after my brother attacked her, stole her car and pawned all her appliances. She moved to a domestic violence shelter but declined to press charges. This happened when I was 7 months pregnant, and when I refused to drive 20+ hours in a car. I was told essentially the same thing that I am being accused of now. She justifies my brother's behavior. He hooked up with the devil and he can't leave him. I've talked to the Adult Protective Services counselors and it all comes down to the fact that she's an adult. She can make her own decisions. Her doctors, although they seem to agree that she may need help taking care of herself, refuse to state that she is unable to take care of herself.